Welcome to Harmony 3, incorporating Chat Harmony, the AI assistant that's just like having an expert researcher alongside you whenever you need it. I'm going to use the New Zealand Tourism Survey for this demonstration. And before I get into Chat Harmony itself, let me just show you some of the very cool things that you can do manually in Harmony. Let's explore the project tree. In Harmony, all of the questions from this survey get translated to what we call axes and elements. So, for example, the axis quarter has all of the quarters as elements that have been that the survey includes from the first quarter it was run. And in order to do an analysis manually, I can drag and drop quarter into the across part of the table, time series, so you want to have the time across. And let's just say top 20 markets down. And once the table is run, we can then start working with it. For example, we might want to rank this table on the most recent period. Choose the period, select rank, and let's also choose to display only the top 5 rows to make it a nice, easy analysis to do. So turn limit display on, top 5 rows, and then we can visualize that. Now, because the Harmony recognizes that there is a time series element in the across part of the table, it will automatically give us a line chart. And you can see I've got a time slider here, so I can choose to show as much or as little of the time periods as I want. It does that when there are more time periods that it can fit into a single screen. You'll notice that it correctly displays the missing value here during the COVID periods when the survey didn't run. And we can see very easily that most of the greatest share of visitors to New Zealand have come from Australia, then the United States, and so on. Now, we may also want to know if the differences from quarter to quarter are statistically significant, in which case we can turn on our significant differences, and you'll see that the differences are indicated with red and green arrows indicating every period where there is a significant difference from one period to the next. Significant differences works in time series in this way. In a regular table, it will compare every column to a reference. Now, having done that, let's now get into Chat Harmony. Right up here, you'll see that there is a Chat Harmony icon, and if we tap on that, we get to ask any question we like of this project. Or there are 3 quick action buttons. Describe, I'll press that, and as it runs, I'll describe what describe does. Describe will give us a description of what is in this survey. So it goes through all of the questions from the survey, all of the axes and elements, and it comes up with the description of what it is, which is fantastic. If you're only diving into a project for the first time, this gives you a holistic view of everything that's in there, all of the different things that you might want to explore. And if I scroll back to the top, you'll see here it is. Here's a clear and comprehensive overview of the Harmony project structure and content. So there's a project overview. It tells us how the data is structured, and it also gives us a description of all of the sections of the Harmony project, all of the different parts of the survey that have been incorporated into this Harmony project, including a summary. Now, at any stage, I can expand this dialog box to fill the screen. At any stage, I can copy and paste this text into a report and deliver that or share that with anybody else, including editing it, of course, if you don't like everything that Chat Harmony has created. Alongside the Describe button is the Analyze button. And if we tap the Analyze button, it's going to go through this whole project and find 10 analyses that it thinks are the most valuable it can find at a high level to help you strategically understand this data. And here are the 10 analyses that Chat Harmony thinks are the most strategically important from this really large project. You'll see the first one here, time series of main reason for visit to New Zealand by year. And as we scroll down, there's the second, third, time series of length of stay, main reason for visit. You can see that why these would be strategically important analyses. At the very bottom, it reiterates what it thinks is the highest ranked analyses. That would be the one that it ranked as number 1 in the list just above. Time series of main reason for visit to New Zealand by year, and it has run that. So it's done a chart type line graph down across legend elements. It's sticking to rules here. And if we have a look at that analysis, here it is. So it's the main reason for visit, holiday, visiting friends and relatives, business, other reasons, etc. Now, the easiest way to look at all 10 of those analyses is to save these to a story. And I can do that simply by using the keywords, which Chat Harmony understands, save all. It's now going to save those 10 to a story, a Harmony story, which has a separate view for each of these 10 analyses. So Chat Harmony is notifying us now that it has completed the story, and you'll notice that it warns us that this might take a while, and we will be notified. What that means is you can carry on working on other things while Chat Harmony is building that story. But now the status is ready to view. We can just tap on that, and it will open the story with the first of those 10 analyses as the first saved story view. So I tap on that. It now loads that saved story. And here it is, exactly as we saw it in the analysis just now. And we can now navigate through each of these story views from one to the other. Here's the second one. This is the top 5 markets tracking through time, also another strategically very important analysis. Now, I'm just going to scroll down the analyses on the left-hand side here and find one. Overall satisfaction with trip by main reason for traveling. Let's tap on that one. And you can see here we've got a stacked bar chart with main reasons for visiting New Zealand crossed by overall satisfaction. Now, one of the things that that you can also do here is that you can work with Chat Harmony. So it has suggested this analysis, but I don't think this is the ideal, from my personal view, the ideal analysis visualization for this analysis. So I can now load this view to the analysis pane and make some adjustments to it. So for example, I might want to change this to a horizontal bar chart as opposed to a stacked bar chart. And I might want to show double index differences as opposed to just the main results. Because then I can say, okay, if we're interested in people who are coming here for conference, well, let's just say holiday, I can now rank this, and you can see very clearly that those that are coming for holiday tend to be very satisfied. They over-index on being very satisfied and under-index on being dissatisfied. For business, if I was to rank on business, you can see that they are over-indexing on dissatisfied and under-indexing on being very satisfied. So that's a very important thing to see. And I would argue that it's easier to see it in my version of that analysis than it is in Chat Harmony's version. So the idea here is that you work with this AI assistant in order to get the best result for your stakeholders. Let's now have a look at some other ways that you can interact with Chat Harmony to create value for your stakeholders. One of the things that I can do with this new analysis, for example, is to save it back to the story. So if I choose Add to Current Story, I can choose to overwrite the existing one or to save it as new. I'm going to save this as new, just so that we can retain the analysis that Chat Harmony created. And if I go back to the story and scroll to the very bottom, you'll see that we've got that analysis that we've just created saved to that same story. You'll also notice that the Chat Harmony icon appears here in the story view as well. Now, in here, Chat Harmony will look at this particular analysis and it will give us an interpretation of it. So if we tap on Chat Harmony, you'll see it's generating insights right now from this one view. Let's see if it finds the same sorts of things that I found. The data presents double indices indicating our various main reasons for visiting New Zealand. There are the reasons, how they compare across different levels of satisfaction. Holiday visitors are substantially overrepresented among those who are very satisfied. That's exactly what we found. In contrast, visitors for business and others are less satisfied. So it's finding exactly what we're finding. So there's nothing magic about this, except that it has written up for you exactly what you would find, and it's done it in a fraction of a second. So we can now copy and paste this text into a report. We can edit it if we want, however we want it to be written, to be consistent with our own style, I guess, into a report that we'll be sharing with our stakeholders. Now, we can take this a step further. For example, I'm going to go back to the analysis. I'm going to reload the project just so that I can start everything from scratch. And we'll go back to Chat Harmony here, and let's ask a question. Let's ask, what strategy do you recommend to maximise the number of tourists visiting New Zealand, the length of time they stay, and the amount they spend? In this way, I'm actually interacting with Chat Harmony in a way that goes right to the core purpose of my role as a strategist working on New Zealand tourism. I'll click Ask. Chat Harmony will go away and think about that question. And it's come up with 9 strategies here that it thinks are going to help. Let's scroll back to the top and see what it starts with. Diversify and target key markets. Focus marketing efforts on both established and emerging international markets. Use data on top source countries such as Australia, USA, UK. So it's not only is it giving me an idea of what strategic focus I should take, it's also giving me an idea of where I should be looking in the data. Promote longer stays through itinerary development. Encourage multi-region itineraries by highlighting the diversity of experiences across New Zealand's regions. Enhance value proposition, seasonal and regional dispersal, and so on. I hope that's given you a good insight or a good introduction as to what Chat Harmony can do. There are plenty of ways that you can get in touch with us if you want to know more. Check the details that come along with this message to find out more.